Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday night. Last show of the week. It's a busy one. There's a lot of things going on locally. There's, of course, the State of the Union going on nationally. So we'll make sure that we get you guys through this in good time to be able to consume whatever it is that you want to consume tonight, whether it's the Preds and the Sabres, whether it's Nashville SC and Inter Miami, Lionel Messi at Geodis Park tonight, or if you're like me, for some sicko reason, you're watching the State of the Union because I don't know. Either way, we're happy to have you here for another episode of the Prime Time Show. We need you guys, of course, to share this show around because we're talking about Dillard tonight. Here, why the Titans haven't cut Andre Dillard. I got a couple of theories that I'm going to pose to you, and it's entirely possible that Andre Dillard is not on the Titans roster in the very near future. In fact, the expectation is that he will not be retained. But while he's still here, it is worth asking why the hell the Titans haven't cut him just yet. So we'll work through these things together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. John Pomfret says, didn't Austin and Sam go through this already? I have no idea. I'm not Austin and Sam. Am I, John Pomfret? I'm Buck. So we're going to go through this with me. And if you already went through this tonight, then you can find something else to do because I don't know what they said. There's 12 hours difference between our shows. So perhaps you may learn something different. Perhaps they have better points than I do. Who's to say? But yeah, I don't know what they said. So we'll talk about it together. Need you guys to share the broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. You can retweet it if you're hanging out on Twitter. That's the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Facebook Live, you can share now to public. It's in the bottom left. And if you're on YouTube or on Twitch, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend in the comment section to do the same if they haven't done so already. And if they haven't, what the hell? Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, not Sam or Austin, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Zen Sports. Download the app, plug in the promo code ATOZTN, and get up to $1,000 on your no-danger first wager. Zensports.com is how you get involved. And TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. I went to TrueMath Fitness this morning for personal training. It was awesome with Worth Campbell as always. You can get the best workout in Middle Tennessee with the best coaching staff, a new way to work out for the best version of you at TrueMathFitness.com. Andre Dillard is still on the Titans roster, and many of you want to know why. I also am curious as to why he's still on the Titans roster, so it's something that we will work through here together. There are 4 potential reasons why Andre Dillard is still a Tennessee Titan as we sit here today, and I think there's a couple of different ways that you can explore this. So the question that I will ask you, your Two Rivers Ford take in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, why is Andre Dillard still on the roster? Let me know in the comment section. It's your Two Rivers Ford take. As I mentioned, as always, it's presented by Two Rivers Ford. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Why is Andre Dillard still a member of the Titans roster? He was benched several times throughout the course of the season. He was benched for a rookie 6th-round pick. He is somebody who lacks a level of competitive toughness that I think is absolutely necessary for him to be able to compete at the NFL level. And yet, as obvious a cut as it could possibly be, he's still here. Now, there's a couple of different easy answers to this, right? If you look at over the cap, there is reason to believe that the Titans may be waiting until after June 1st to release Andre Dillard. But the issue there, or the biggest holdup there, is, well, why haven't they just designated him as a post-June 1 release? They can do that at any point. Are they willing to kind of wait this thing out? So they could wait until June 1st, cut him when free agency, or designate him as a post-June 1 release when free agent opens, since that's when all that stuff becomes official anyway. There's $3 million, and I was working through some of this with Zach Lyons and Mike Herndon well, I guess I don't know what Zach's outlet necessarily is, but they both host the Football and Other F Words podcast, because I was just trying to make sure that I didn't miss anything before I came on here and talked about it tonight, because I was looking for something to talk about, and Dillard is honestly the most interesting thing going on the roster right now. Zach pointed out that his $3 million guaranteed salary, according to Over the Cap, hits on the 18th. So maybe they want to see what free agency entails. They could keep him through the summer. Given that the offensive line situation is poor, they could wait to cut him and go through the process of training camp with him, though I think that would make precious little sense. And then there's the idea that Bill Callahan, father of Brian Callahan, the new Titans head coach, is somebody that might potentially be able to salvage Andre Dillard. I can't imagine that is the case. But at this point, I guess those are the four most viable options on the table. Malachi Perry says, I've heard scouts say Joe Alt has that same lack of toughness in him. Said he's a little soft. Not sure how true that is, though. Well, then I would ask you, what scouts are you talking to? Are you citing sources? And I'm not dismissing you, Malachi. You may know scouts that work in the NFL. That's something that's completely viable. But if you're not, are you citing your own sources? What are you citing there? Because that's not been in any of the analysis that I've seen, nor in any discussions with scouts that I've talked to, either at the NFL Combine, since we've been back in Nashville. So I'd be curious to know where you're getting that information, and if that is in fact information or just something that you read on Facebook, which, listen, we all get caught up in the occasional Facebook news buzz from time to time. I'm watching Joe Biden take selfies, try to work his way down the aisle to get through the State of the Union. My God, is this going to be a tough situation to watch. Anyway, so what are we? Not me personally. LOL. I'm not in like that. Well, then it's not relevant information, because you're not telling me where it's coming from, and you're not citing actual resources there. So I'm confused as to where that's coming from. Clayton Smith says, didn't Cosell say that Alt wasn't aggressive? No, he said that he doesn't use his hands as a means of punching the way that some offense. It's not a technique that he's had to employ in college. Doesn't mean that he can't, just something that he's not been coached to do. Because Cosell, in the way that he's working we're not talking about Alt. You can go listen to the podcast that I did with Cosell if you want to hear everything that he said about Joe Alt, because we did that at the Combine. We talked about Fuaga, Alt, Fushanu, and who else am I missing in that? The Oregon left tackle, the Washington left tackle as well. I'm not here to do the Joe Alt show again. I've already done it. So let's talk about why the hell Andre Dillard is still on the roster. It's your Two Rivers Ford take. As always, I've already mentioned it's presented by Two Rivers Ford. The biggest thing that makes sense to me is the cap savings that would come as a post-June 1 release. So again, looking at over the cap and just kind of keeping an eye on this thing, I still think that it is the most likely outcome that the Titans end up releasing Andre Dillard. But as we sit here and look around and ask ourselves why the hell Andre Dillard is still a member of the Tennessee Titans roster, I think that the waiting until June 1 or waiting until even March the 13th when free agency opens to even designate him as a post-June 1 release doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense to me. So here's what the contract looks like. It's a hideous contract. Not that it's tough to kind of pin anything on just Rand Carthon or just Mike Vrabel, given how weird the situation was last year. But both of them are to blame for bringing in Andre Dillard on this deal. It was a let me pull up the contract details specifically. So he signed this deal, $29 million over 3 years, fully guaranteed. What he received was $10 million on this 3-year deal. And the cap hit was very, very feasible in 2023. He only accounted for $2.76 million against the salary cap. This year, he's set to count against the cap for 10.6. Next year, if God forbid Andre Dillard is on this roster next year, 13.1. Now, they can get out of it more cleanly after 2024, but is that a risk that they're willing to take, given that Duncan is on the roster and Dillard is, they're both bad, or they both played poorly last year. Dillard in a much larger sample size, obviously, and it doesn't mean that Jalen Duncan can't get better. But if the Titans were to cut him pre-June 1st, they would not save money, right? They would eat just about $5 million, a little less than $5 million, because his dead money would be $7.792 million. the cap savings that releasing him would bring is only $2.876 million. So again, just under $5 million of dead money that they would incur. If they waited for a post-June 1st release, they would save about $2 million because the dead money would drop to 4.19. The cap savings would rise to 6.4. So they would save more than $2 million if they just waited to June 1. But of course, he's still on the roster in the meantime. He would still be due money if he makes it into the new league year. So whether that money is enough to avoid versus the $2 million in savings, because it's not like $2 million is a ton, especially once you've already worked through the free agency situation. I struggle to think that that's the only thing that they're waiting on. Now, ideally, would you rather save $2 million as opposed to costing yourself $5 million? That's the most sensible solution here. But I think that as you look at it, to not designate him now or to not designate him next week, we'll see if they designate him next week. And obviously, there's less than a week. There's 6 days before NFL free agency actually begins. I think the thing that makes the most sense for Andre Dillard is that post-June 1st release. I don't want to see them try to salvage him. Lucas kind of got on me, Lucas Panzica, who's the EP of the radio show that I host. Lucas got on me earlier this year because I called Andre Dillard a locker room cancer. And I don't consider Andre Dillard I don't use the term locker room cancer in the same way that a lot of people do. A lot of people called A.J. Brown a locker room cancer. A.J. Brown is not a locker room cancer. Diva wide receivers are not a locker room cancer. There have been players in the past who people have taken issue with and used that label unfairly. I think that Andre Dillard's lack of competitive toughness at one of the most premium positions in the NFL is actually cancerous to a locker room. I think that can infect people. I think that can bring about a level of a lack of belief locker room wide. I think it can affect morale when you have somebody who's as sorry as Dillard and, who is a well-meaning person. By the way, it doesn't mean he's a bad, like it does to call him to use that about Andre Dillard. I don't think he's a bad person. In fact, he's always been very, very, I won't say like super pleasant because he obviously doesn't want to talk to us because every time one of us wants to talk to him, it's because he sucked at his job. But he's not a bad person by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't think that you have to be a bad person to be a locker room cancer. But I do think that when you look at somebody like this at one of these positions where you're supposed to be bigger, badder, tougher, stronger, more mentally tough than your opponent, more physically tough than your opponent. Jonathan Caverly says he just isn't a dog. They need to move on. That's probably the best way to summarize it. It has a cancerous effect, I believe, and I do think that some of that carried over into the problems that the Tennessee Titans had as an offensive line group last year. So why is Dillard still on the roster? I think it's because they're going to wait to designate him as a post-June 1 release. That is the thing that makes the most financial sense. I think it makes far more sense than trying to keep him around as a depth piece or trying to salvage him. It's failed in too many places, and I don't think that it's worth trying to continue to make this work. A to Z Sports Primetime is presented by the great people at TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch. The best place to work out, my favorite place to work out at TrueMav Fitness, conveniently located in downtown Nashville. I went this morning, did a little upper body and core with Worth Campbell. Personal training is what I prefer at TrueMav, but they have all manner of options for you. If you just want to work out on your own time, you can do that with the TrueMav Fitness membership. They have an open gym that's available to you whenever you would like to work out. They also have group fitness classes in the morning, in the afternoon. They are there to work with you to get you in the best possible position to succeed. TrueMavFitness.com is where you go for your first workout free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, they will put you in position to succeed. So you lose money after post-release, he gets his guarantee. No, you don't lose. I mean, you do lose some money, but you're losing the money anyway. You understand what I'm saying? If you cut him now, you're out $5 million. If you keep him through the start of the new league year, you spend $3 million, but you end up saving $2 million on his post-June 1st release. So it's either lose 5 or lose 3. It's just a matter of how important that $2 million is to a team that has, 86 million, 85 million ballpark, before you start to factor in rookie contracts that they'll have to account for, salary cap, injury pool, in-season free agency pool, all these kind of things that they need to have reserve finances for. How important is that $2 million? Well, it can be critically important when you have as much money as you do, but the marketplace is as open as it's ever been, even though you have that much cap space, because the rest of the NFL got $30 million a team, and it creates a whole new different market than you might have otherwise had. Is there a chance they think Bill Callahan can fix Dillard? Maybe. I don't know. That's not a question that they've been asked or had to answer, so it's possible, but God, I hope that's not the case. Jeff Stoutland is regarded as much of a good offensive line coach, or as good of an offensive line coach as Bill Callahan, the former Eagles offensive line coach. And that guy couldn't do shit with him either. So I don't think that it's worth trying to invest resources, time, energy, and more money in trying to make something out of Andre Dillard when Andre Dillard is clearly not there to be made something out of. Offensive linemen are tough to come by, and he has, God help me, he has been viable in very, very, very small spurts. But there's just too many cons versus the pros to keeping this man. And that is something that I am not interested in doing. BF is asking me, what's Biden doing, Buck? Well, I have the State of the Union on mute right now as I do the primetime show, because I knew I'd get distracted if I tried to do it with the sound on, and still waded my way through this show. Between the Preds, Nashville SC, and the State of the Union, I don't know why I chose this. I mean, I do know why I chose this, because I prefer to be informed on what the hell is going on in our country ahead of an election cycle. But right now, he's squinting very heavily, as he tends to do when giving public speaking engagements. So I'll probably rewind this portion of it, because he just got up there. It took him he was supposed to start at 8. He didn't get going until about 5 minutes ago. A to Z Sport. Let's talk about what cap casualties might be available or might make the most sense for the Titans to scoop up. We'll do that after I remind you that Zen Sports makes the primetime program possible. Same game parlays on the NBA and the NHL, up to 10 same game parlays, boosted parlays a day at Zen Sports, along with that $1,000 no danger first wager. Use the promo code ATOZTN and get in on all the action, whether it's college basketball, the NBA, hockey, as I mentioned. We're not that far away from baseball beginning in earnest. If you're betting on preseason baseball, you're a sicko, but that's okay. Zen Sports is your place to wager on all your favorite major sports, wherever you want to wager on your favorite major sports in the state of Tennessee. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 and up and in the state of Tennessee to bet. So, how are we thinking about the cap casualties? It's mostly Buffalo Bills players that have been released, but there are some others, including Justin Simmons, who I find to be an interesting player here. This is courtesy of 9 News Denver. Mike Kliss, who's one of the best local NFL insiders that's still out here breaking news on a local level, kind of broke down the situation as to why Justin Simmons, the Pro Bowl safety, is out on the street along with so many other safeties.
9 News Broncos insider Mike Kliss joins us now. Let's play Kliss and Tell. Mike, there's the term, there's no crying in baseball.
Yeah.
It seems like there's no love in football now, too.
Yeah, Justin Simmons, there's a lot of love from Broncos country, from the fans. He did so much great work out in the community, but none of that matters when you're making $14.5 million. Yeah. And the safety market is quite a bit less than that. So the Broncos made a business decision. Sean Payton, he's not as invested in Justin Simmons as so many others around the Broncos were. So it's purely a football decision. Even though he's got 4 second-team All-Pros and all those Pro Bowls and all those interceptions, more than anybody else when he came into the league in 2016, he is no longer a Denver Bronco.
It's important to note, Justin Simmons just put out a thank you note. Thank you, Denver. Thanking lots of people within the Broncos organization. Sean Payton was not mentioned on it. But Mike...
it's always who's not mentioned.
Yeah, It's way more fun to talk about that. With Justin being gone, Russell Wilson being gone, who's next?
Well, if you're Cortland Sutton, you probably have to pay attention, keep your eyes open. And he's had some cryptic social media messages too, as if he's out of here.
What's next is his Twitter bio.
Yeah, and then you got DJ Jones, $10 million, non-guaranteed last year of his contract. Garrett Bowles, $16 million.
How about Jerry Jeudy?
Jerry Jeudy, I think, is very much will be on the trading block here in the next week or so. And then for free agents, their own free agents, I think they want to bring back Will Lutz. I think they have to bring back PJ Locke now. He has some leverage. And then, but I don't think Josie Jewell comes back. And Lloyd Cushenberry, the center, I don't think he comes back either. Because they're
who's going to play for the Broncos?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a new team like we've never seen before in 2024. This is going to be a rebuild for the first time. They've always tried. They didn't get there, but they've always tried. This time, I think it's going to be a complete rebuild.
Broncos looking to make the postseason for the first time in now 9 years.
So that is Mike Kliss breaking it down. Lloyd Cushenberry is a name that I would keep an eye on for the Tennessee Titans as well. They could use a veteran center. And he is somebody who is not expected, as you just heard Mike say, back in Denver. All right, let's wrap this thing up with a weekend bounce back on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Who needs to bounce back the most? Bert put this video in. It is one of the most hideous things I've ever heard in my life. It apparently has something to do with my Indiana Pacers. God only knows what led them to this decision. You'll hear from that here in just a second, or you'll hear that here in just a second, and you can be as traumatized as I was right after I remind you that the Primetime program is presented by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. GaryAshton.com is where you go for your dream address without the stress. Get the intel edge you need to succeed at GaryAshton.com. All right, this is apparently a national anthem performance from a recent Indiana Pacers game. It is one of the most cringeworthy things I've ever heard in my life. The Pacers, she can't be more than 10, apparently. But God knows this national anthem needs a bounce back.
Stripes and bright stars round on perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets love bombs bursting in that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free. And the home of the brave.
I agree, Big G. Who put that poor baby out there? I think we may have just found a new end of show video. For those of you who have been bitching about the Colts video or the Mitch Firkins getting wrecked in the parking lot video, I think we may have just found it. So God bless America. God bless the Indiana Pacers. I guess I'm going to take that energy and watch the State of the Union for the rest of the evening. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you Sunday night. Free agency news will be rolling fast and furiously, so we will definitely get into it. I think I can only subject you to that video once this evening. So again, I will leave you with your dear friend Mitch Firkins, and I will talk to you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone. See you guys.
Ready?